Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hunter's Gathering. I'm your host, Markeia McCarty. And this is like your one stop chill stop for just everything like behind the games in general. Yes, with Hunter's Entertainment, the game that has brought you things like Altered Carbon, RPG, and also Outbreak Undead, Icarus, Alice is Missing. Yes, all of that stuff, but also just like a really good peek behind what happens with all of us here, like in game design in general. So, for today's episode, we are going to start off with our recap. We have a show, an ongoing campaign on Tuesday nights called Hunters Presents. And with that, that is 8:30 p.m. PT, and then change that for your own time zones for when it is. And we're doing Outbreak Undead Year Zero. Our GM is B. Dave Walters. Our players for this zombie survival campaign are Michelle Wynn Bradley as Ben Lee, Louis Carrazzo as Nathan Marquez, May Lee Damage as Madison Martell, and myself, Markeia McCarty, as Pharaoh Moore. So, joining me on the recap today, we have Caleb Cleveland, who is also the art director for Hunters Entertainment. Caleb, hello. Thank you
Hello.
for thank you for joining us for today's episode.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. Yeah. So where we are in the adventure right now, so that all of y'all out there know, this particular campaign is going to be a 4-episode campaign. So we are 3 episodes in. Episode 1 was called Into the Fire, where we literally get thrown into the thick of things with our band of survivors, and we start learning about the world with that their base is stationed in a place called Coopco, which is not IKEA in Burbank, California, basically. And then from there, getting to know about this particular zombie that exists in this campaign, which they colloquially call them Ragers, because they are infected, but they're not undead. They are literally like filled with rage and just, and also any kind of blood splatter. Forget about bites. Bites are done, like blood splatter in your face, you can get infected. So that's a whole thing. Um, so
All
and
sounds so good.
it is so good, right, Caleb? I mean, this campaign lately, and I think our chat room would agree. And I realized that my phone shut off, so I'm actually not sharing us right now on. I'll join the chat room in a second,
That's okay.
but
I think
yeah.
everybody's agreeing that the risk is heightened. The stakes are crazy. It's a really fun game, and it's even better to watch. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah, it's like these aren't your grandma's zombies. No, 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 no. These are today's zombies. So yeah, for episode 1, Into the Fire, that happened with them, and then episode 2, Everything's New and Bad, is the continuance of the adventure where our band of survivors realizes that they are going to have to go out into the world, and on different scouting missions they then choose, choose your own adventure type of thing, or choose your own doom, maybe might be the way about it. And with that, they end up choosing to go to Malibu to try to get a hold of a boat to be able to just get all of these survivors out there, take your chances on the sea, because the land is kind of messed. So, which brings us to this past Tuesday's episode, which is episode 3, called Friday Night Fights, which is very sports oriented, which is where its title came from. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump into the clip for this past game, where it's basically our survivors. They are in a tricked out ambulance. This ambulance has had a bomb set on the top of it by a kid that got the drop on them. They are right now parked outside of this big structure that is blocking off the street. It's like a metal wall blocking off the street, and across it says, "Welcome to the." Oh, I'm forgetting exactly what it says. I'm in the game and I'm forgetting exactly what it says, but it's like, welcome to the presidents of the United States of America. It's like,
Pretty much.
yeah, pretty much. It's kind of ominous. So let's go ahead and play the clip for everybody, and then we're going to do our recap.
I'm going to open the driver's side door and I'm going to carry the bat out, and I'm just going to step out. And I'm going to look at the kid with the detonator and tell him, we're not here to cause trouble. What is it that you want?
When you step out, the kid holding the handgun near you jumps back and very much points it at you, nervous. And the kid with the detonator goes, hey, 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 trigger control, trigger control. Be cool, breathe, finger off the trigger, point it towards the ground. Don't. And he very much raises his voice and says, don't let the muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. Don't get me wrong, man. We're super fucking willing to destroy you. Just at this exact second, we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He looks in, he's like, all right, that's 2 of 4. You two in there. Braids, Blondie, come on out.
You grab anything you need to protect yourself?
I have my I need to call it something other than a selfie stick at this point, but I have my selfie stick and concealed in a long cargo pant pocket on my thigh. I got my guns, but are they going to let us keep that?
I guess we'll find out. And I'll kind of sling, my bow around my back, and I'll open the door out of the way for Pharaoh.
And so you two are going to come out of the passenger side. So if I'm correct, Madison and Pharaoh are on one side of the ambulance. Nathan's on the other side. Bean is in the back. Correct?
Cool, by myself, yes.
Mm-hmm.
We did not make a plan.
As you get out, you see he very much kind of like, he takes a step back from the ambulance, and you can tell he's very clearly trying to like keep all of you in his peripheral, And he's like, so thank you all for being so cooperative. What are you all out doing this fine afternoon? Just out for a fucking Sunday stroll or whatever day it is? I don't even know what day it is anymore.
We're just passing through. We're trying to, do a supply run and get to the west coast, they say. And we couldn't find a way around your structure, so we decided to try to go through and see if that'd be cool to do. Can I detect motive at this point?
You absolutely can. Any of you can. I will say, Pharaoh, you're going to run through your mind like, this is a sucker play.
Like they got us,
yeah.
And like this is ridiculous. He's got like a cardboard box in his hand. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Madison speaks up and says, we're also trying to pass along some useful information that we've found out along the way that we think would be valuable to people with walls. Apparently birds can get infected, we've noticed too. So while we're going through running for supplies, we're just trying to make sure everybody's well aware, like a public service. I mean, there's still somewhat of a public left, so no reason why we shouldn't share helpful information to keep you guys alive, because the longer you're alive and healthy, the less of the ragers we have to deal with. So it's in everyone's best benefit that you guys know.
You see
Yeah,
his eyes.
it's us against them.
He looks at you and his eyes just kind of narrow, and he snaps his fingers. And two of the kids in the back that had the ones with crowbars move past you, Bean, and start trying to go inside the ambulance. Or at least they very much come towards you like they're going to enter the ambulance.
I rolled an 84 out of 60 on detective motive, so I don't know what the hell they're doing, I guess.
They're gonna kill and eat you, Bean. This is like, clearly they're cannibals. You read Lord of the Flies. You know how this goes. Children cannot be trusted.
Oh no, thank you. I complied, and I get on the ground and I just kind of roll horizontally away from the van.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Important point of clarification. Do you roll roughly towards the passenger side or roughly towards the driver's side?
Oh Lord in heaven. I roll. I'm right-handed. I roll to my right in a crisis, so that would be facing out to the driver's side.
Okay, Nathan, you very much see she like complete submissive display rolls on the ground as you kind of
Oh,
hear the
boy.
thump 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 of people going on board the ambulance.
How many kids are around now? Like half a dozen?
About 7 total. There's him, and then 3 came from each side. One gun, one on each side had a gun. 2 on each side had improvised weapons.
All right. So I see Bean kind of roll this way. Look, we're here to give you guys some information to pass through because we're scouting the area, but we're also here. Clearly, you need some help. I point out the scrawny kids. You can take a look at what we have here, but I guarantee none of you know how to use it. The one that knows how to use the stuff that we have is this one rolling around on the ground, who's part of the reason why we're here. Who
still
of you
rolling.
needs medical attention? Because we're here to help you.
Hey, they got snacks. They have Fritos in here. And you see when they say that, he sort of holds his hand up and he's like, "You're like a doctor?"
Not me.
Are you talking to me? Is
Yeah, no,
someone
he's
talking to me?
he's talking to Bean. Yeah.
Is someone talking to me? Aren't you gonna kill me now?
I mean, that remains to be seen. Say something medical.
There's 175 bones in your hands. You have the most bones in your hands than anywhere else in your body, and the human head weighs 8 pounds.
Pharaoh steps forward a little bit, and goes, yeah. So I'm Pharaoh. Your name is. What can we call you? We have to call you something. I can't just call you the kid or the
They-
top kid in my mind.
Hey, they call me Hat Trick.
Hat trick?
Hat trick.
Yeah, Hat Trick.
All right. Yeah, no, I get that. I understand the reference too.
I mean, your
Yeah.
name's Pharaoh. Well, we're doing code names, right?
So, yeah, a number of things, like everything that we've said. We're here for information. We're here for this one right here is one of the best medical doctors that you could run into, you could hope to run into right now. And honestly, even in wartime, I'm sure y'all learned about this, before this whole infection thing. You don't strip the medics of their supplies, because if someone did that before you, then we wouldn't have enough for you. So just saying right now, everything that's in there, including those snacks that they just yelled about, those are to help you and help other people, because
my
it's
snacks.
us versus them.
You're like, I'd rather die than give up the snacks.
Bean whimpers, those are mine.
Give me a persuasion roll. While Pharaoh is trying to talk, and Bean is trying not to be consumed, what are Nathan and Madison doing?
I'm actually approaching with Pharaoh and ready to kind of back up Pharaoh's diplomacy, but letting Pharaoh take the lead.
Also, remember, hello, Alex Ward in the Bone Army. Thank you for joining us. Now I have to do something extra terrible because, I gotta show out in front of company. Do remember that you also have your 2 competency points. That at any point in the game you have two successes that you can use at a dramatically appropriate moment. How'd you do over there, Pharaoh?
I got a 10% out of 31% for persuasion.
All right, that is 2 degrees of success. You see, he sort of like looks at you for a second, and then he looks back at you, Bean, and then you see he looks down at his hand, and he kind of just takes a step back, and he's like, "None of you fucking move. Tell him we got a doctor down here." What? A doctor. What?
We got a doctor.
And then you're like, oh, and you see this like young kid like puts the cigarette out and like disappears kind of in a gap in the corrugated metal there. It sort of like shimmies through. And he says, the kid looks down, Hat Trick does, and he says, all right, here's how this is gonna go. I'm gonna bring you in. You can both hold on to one weapon, but I'm holding on to this. Anything weird, no more ambulance. Nobody's happy. Got it?
Right. So our Caleb.
We got a doctor.
We got a doctor over here. What? It's like Stone Cold Austin there for a second. Like,
I
what?
know. The turns have tabled. What's going on?
But yeah, then our crew ends up going into Logville. There are a number of hair-raising, intense things that happen to them in there, including seeing all the time that we've been going through this campaign. Our crew keeps on seeming to run into infected in different forms. And when they're in Logville, they run into that rats can be infected with this. And not only rats, but other like creepy crawly kind of creatures. And in fact, there's an encounter that happens since I think, well, this is the recap. So I'm not too worried about spoilers, but I also kind of don't want to ruin things for people in the chat. So if the chat wants, if you can chat, let me know how spoilery do we want to go? Light spoilers, or should we talk about all the things that happened, or all the things that happened hands off for right now? And those the entire VOD is on YouTube right now, and of course, our subscribers, it's right here on Twitch. That's always open to you to see. And just so that you know, for this show, we will be recapping this for like a few minutes, and then we will be going into a deep dive about game art design, the things that go into it, like with Caleb, our art director. Actually, you're over here for me. um, and going into different artwork of Caleb. And then, of course, we are going to do a live illustration of Ragnarock and get a really nice, like, I can't even call it a peek. It's literally like opening the book and reading some of the pages so that you can see what's going on with everything. So we will be also doing that in the show. So let's see with chat. They're saying light spoilers. Thanks, Phoenix Goth. Oh, and Alex Hillman is in the chat. Alex underscore red eye. Apparently was so stressed during the game on Tuesday. He was so stressed he ended up cracking a tooth. Just like I
No
know
joke.
it was so tense, Alex. But that's and I hope you're feeling better with your tooth pain. Okay, so we're gonna keep this light spoilery so that everybody can really get into things with the VOD. I very much recommend going ahead and viewing this past episode, especially because we will have our finale next week, which the survivors that have survived up to this point. Ooh.
That's the thing about Outbreak Undead. You don't want to get too attached to everybody because eventually your plan will fail. And it's never exactly up to you exactly when that happens. It's one of the reasons why the game's so fun.
So that we have you here, Caleb, art director, Cleveland. So okay, so let's say with like there's very intense scenarios that happen during this past episode. One of which is when our survivors are kind of in a sense paraded through Logville on their way to meet the president of the United States. Well, Logville's president of the United States, who is actually a surprise character that ends up coming up. But it's Logville itself is located not in Los Angeles College. And everywhere around you see children of different ages and different states of emanciation, because it's just maybe not as good at being able to do the hunting and gathering as others, maybe because of things that are in the environment, like around them, such as ragers, going after them. But they are paraded through there. So I'm kind of just wondering, from an art director aspect, if we were making this as a scenario in one of Hunter's games, like how would you be picturing this? What would you do?
Oh gosh. Well, I have a background in theater, so typically what I think of, I think of whenever you're painting a picture, like you just did so beautifully, using words. The first thing I think of is an empty space, right? And I think of an empty space. I think about where the actors would be, where they need to start, where they need to end up. When you're doing illustration or art direction for role playing games, it's just like any other narrative illustration. The most important thing is to try and serve the story. And one of the biggest things when it comes to creating art for a role playing game like this is trying to figure out how close you want to be to what is stressing you out, to what is creating the stakes, and making them and making the scene so, if indelible, something that sticks with you. You need to figure out exactly where the viewer is. So the first thing you want to do is create an empty space and figure out where's the camera, where's the audience. Are we in the group that's being sort of frog marched down the street of Logville, or are we amongst the bystanders and the viewers, the people of Logville, as these newcomers, these quote unquote ne'er do wells who have questionable motives. It's year zero. As you said before, everybody's in a state of transition. There are kids that are starving. It's like winter. The wolves are doing really well, and everybody else is suffering. It's that point where everybody's trying to figure out what they need to do to survive. And what you need to do is figure out where you want the camera to be. Are we going to be looking at us, the players, or is the camera amongst the players looking out at the world that is now year zero? How close to the horror do we want to be? There's this really, really fun, Mel Brooks, actually, the famous comedic director, said that the difference between tragedy and comedy is like proximity and time, right? Tragedy is me getting a paper cut, but comedy is you falling down a manhole and dying. And the only difference is it's proximity. So that's one of the main things. How close do we want to be to the horror? What is the story about? What's the picture about? That's the first thing I think of, is like the empty space, and where are we looking? Who do we want to be in the picture? Sorry, I tend to lecture when I talk about these sort of things. Am I doing okay?
Yeah, no, I love this. This is actually very eye-opening for me, because I'm not an artist, not in the sense of being able to do things with these. Pretty much paint by numbers over here, or like one of those paint classes where you can have a glass of wine, and then they do it in front of you, and then you just kind of copy them as they're doing it. Those are
I
my
gotcha.
painting skills. So
Those
I
are
really
absolutely good.
hey, I have one on my mantle that I'm so proud of.
I'm proud of
So,
you
but
too.
I
Good
did
for
like,
you.
yeah, I did post pre-pandemic. I'm gonna sign up for another class to do one post-pandemic. But that's my art. That's about the art thing.
Well,
So hearing about
that's it.
negative space, like empty space, and then where you're coming from, where you're going to angle it, like how close up do you want to get with things?
Yeah,
I love hearing that. I mean, and for those of you out there who don't know, Caleb is also a professor, so it's like, obviously this is we're gonna get some really great art lessons just in general. So I love that. Okay, so
we get an
here's
art lesson. I don't know about the great part, but we'll work on that.
so there's another scene that happens within this, and still keeping it light, spoilery type of a deal. One of our survivors, and okay, you know what? still light spoilery. We don't know what, if anything, happens. Bean ends up going into a basement type environment, going after a particular item with one of the other members from Logville. While they are in this basement like environment, suddenly there's skittering noises. And we had found out earlier that the infected could infect rats. So they're trying to run, get this item, and then get out before anything happens. So just knowing that, what are you thinking about when you're thinking about it from an art design aspect with this?
All right. First thing, light spoilers. I'm so glad my wife isn't listening to this because rats like literally set her up on the table. Second, even if it's like imaginary, like painting words with painting a word tapestry of rats. But it could be worse. It could be spider birds. That's well, I mean, the game's not over yet. You still have one more episode, so I don't want to spoil anything. Okay, so here we go with another really fun little tidbit. When you're dealing with the unknown, it's like if you're trying to create tension, if you're trying to create a sense of foreboding, again, you want to start with theater, right? You have an empty space. And most of the time when you're working like in a black box or something like that, any sort of theater, you are in complete control about what is lit, right? So you have to figure out where shadows are coming from, where light's coming from, what you can see, what you can't. And a lot of really, really good comic and concept artists take advantage of that. They don't get slavish to details at any stage of the game. What they do, however, is they are controlling about what you can see and what draws your focus. And in a scene like that, if you're in a dark basement and the first thing that B. David, using his masterful narrative techniques, what he does is he starts playing on other senses other than sight. Immediately, your other senses are put up on edge, and the tension goes through the roof. In this case, for me, it would be like a really dimly lit. It would be an almost completely like 75% black image, where maybe the only focus of light is from a bunch of flashlights that are flashing all over the place. Maybe we see a hint of movement. It's very gestural rather than specific. We don't actually even, maybe we see lights in the corners of the picture. Two little pinpricks staring out at us every once in a while, or maybe like a little blur of something jumping past a flashlight as somebody like desperately tries to focus it and misses, right? And sometimes it's about what you don't see. And it can be like, in this case, I definitely would put at least somewhere in the picture a reaction shot, somebody's face going, "What the hell was that?" Or "We got to get out of here," or something, somebody "Get that flashlight out of my face," that sort of thing. It would be the perfect moment for your plan to fall apart. And for something as simple as, little scavenging rats to become a major threat. And I feel like that's, sometimes it's about what you don't see, what you can suggest, rather than going all in on detail. So in this case, it would probably be about value, lights, darks, shadows. And there's a lot of really great concept artists that do stuff like that. It's sort of like, do you remember the Blair Witch Project?
Oh,
That
yeah.
movie that came out like 20 years ago. Again, it was about, the only light came from a video camera. Everything else was completely fuzzy and pixelated. The work of Chris Cunningham, who's another director who does exactly the same thing with like low light cameras and things like that. That's probably what I would suggest my artists use as reference or as a keystone to sort of jump onto their own take on the scene.
Just describing that makes me want to like brush up my skin. Like, is there anything
Right?
here? Like,
Well,
no.
well, it's a testament to both you as a player and B. David as a storyteller that scene was so cringy. That it was that just using words and something as simple as Twitch you were able to, evoke the creepy crawlies on a bunch of viewers. So kudos to you.
Thank you, Caleb. Oh, we're gonna have you more often now. That's happening.
Oh, I can't wait.
um, but yeah, it's I think we're going to go ahead and the specifics of the recap there. I do strongly recommend for anybody out there, like in our chat room right now, to go ahead and make sure that you're caught up before we do Hunters Gathering next week, Sunday 6 p.m., because we will be doing a finale recap, and we're going to go deep down and into everything, and so that you know what's going to be happening next week. Not only is it like a deep down finale recap, we'll be doing that with Ivan Van Norman, um, uh, co-creator of Hunters Entertainment. We'll also be doing an Altered Carbon character creation with him next week. So make sure that you go ahead and tell people and get your questions ready for everything with that. And then, in fact, also get your questions ready for the rest of this show, because with that recap, and just so that if you're joining us for right now, Hunters Presents campaign of Outbreak Undead is Tuesdays. Next week is the end finale at 6 p.m. I'm sorry, 8:30 p.m. PT on Tuesdays. And then in September, there will be a time change, but don't worry, we're going to tell you all about that on next week Hunters Gathering and what to expect with that. And then, actually, if you go ahead and subscribe, that would be the easiest possible thing for you to do to not only, keep up with our content with this, but also, let us know what it is that you want to see more of, because we're having fun with this, and we want to, do more things for, our subscribers and our guests that are like joining in on us like right now. So yeah, subscribers, our VODs are on Twitch. And a week later, our VODs are uploaded onto YouTube. So whenever they are aired. So to keep that in mind. All right. So Caleb, so let's go into more things with you, because like we want to talk about game art design, and then also get the inside perspective of being an art director, like not only with Hunters Entertainment, but you've been bopping around doing all sorts of wonderful things. Can you let our, and also chat room, everybody who's in there right now, if you have questions, like you want to know, how do I get started with this, or like maybe you already have your own company and you're just trying to find a different angle to approach something in an art design aspect, go ahead and write your questions in chat, and we're going to go ahead and lift those, and we will have these for Caleb, and as we're doing our conversation. So to keep up with this first half, because remember, our second half, we're going to be doing a live illustration of a Ragnarock with Caleb. So if you can tell us some more stuff about yourself, Caleb, and how like you got into art in general, and then how you ended up with Hunters Entertainment, and then I want to show everybody some of your artwork too, because we have that to show too.
Gosh. Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you for asking. Well, I've always been drawing as long as I can remember. I've always been playing with shapes, playing with colors, trying to create characters, and things that are, basically things that are important to me. I've always been playing around with things like that. It's one of those things that there are some kids that love playing with blocks. There are some kids that love taking things apart. I was the one who would scrawl on the walls and, fill any number of pieces of scrap paper with, little watercolor pictures of Godzilla, or,
Yeah,
with superheroes or stuff like that I saw on Saturday morning cartoons. And I always knew that art was going to play a big part of my life, always. But it's been a dream of mine to be able to turn it into something other than just a hobby, something to keep me sane. I went to college. I at first got really into technical art and painting and stuff like that. I was really into fantasy art, and something that was really kind of discouraged by all my professors. This was back in the 90s. The Photoshop of the day hadn't really caught up, And it was, and professors were totally, they were totally on par. I was in love with my own talent, and as such, what they really wanted was to try and test my dedication to stretching myself and learning different things, and I wasn't interested in that. I mentioned before that I got really into theater. That was where I got most of my degrees.
Yeah, theater
Um,
kids unite.
Absolutely, it's soul developing, right?
Oh
And that's exactly what happened when I got into theater. I sort of like, I had rounded heels. I was in college. I was trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do with myself. And so when I got into when I tried out for a play, and they realized, oh my God, this guy can draw, this guy can paint. We need to use him for stuff.
yeah.
And sure enough, it turns out that there's a lot of visual art needs in modern theater. But I got 1 degree, I got 2 degrees. I did competitions, I won awards. Um, I but after I graduated, I went into the real world and discovered that I wasn't in love with it as much as I thought I was. What I really loved, what I loved doing though, was telling stories with, shadow and light. I lived for it. And doing that kind of drafting, doing those preparatory paintings and costume renderings and set renderings, lighting studies. Those are the things that really excited me and excited other people too. And as a result, my painting and my art after getting my degree ended up becoming that much better, because I became aware of just about the limitations of the different media that I was
All right.
in. I've
Uh,
got a question here.
oh yeah, don't worry about it. I'm gonna field the questions and stuff.
You
You
got
just
it.
continue
I'll just keep going.
doing you. Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
But there was someone in chat that did bring something up that I wanted to address. And oh my gosh, I forgot who said it now, but there was a person that, oh, Phoenix Goth. As someone who did IB theater, I totally get what he means reframing your camera, because we had to do that. Yeah, International Baccalaureate. I was also in that. I was in IB theater. It's just like, yeah, I didn't.
what?
Yeah. You know,
That's amazing.
one of those things. Yeah,
Markeia.
that's yeah. I mean, the world's this big, especially now that everything's through cameras now and
Yeah.
connected to everybody. But yeah, IB theater, that is a heck of a thing to bring up, where it's just like, yeah, you become very specialized in your theater. It's like that's so weird that happened, that came up. I love that. um
Well, it's something that happens a lot, apparently. A lot of people have, especially in Twitch performance or in role playing, they got their chops somehow through theater or through TV, or especially most of the people that do our Twitch streams are located around the West Coast. And I feel like that's performance tends to be a big part of the draw of trying to stretch your legs and exploring what role playing games can do. Um,
Oh,
but
so
anyway,
yeah,
go, sorry, go ahead.
I am very curious about the transition then, because I know that you have some fan art for us that you were going to show. So I'm wondering, is this fan art more the earlier part of your career before you transitioned into doing stuff for bigger properties, or because I love fan art. I'm a big fan of fan art. I love it
Me
when
too.
people share it and do it. So I'm wondering here. Okay, so we have this fan art up actually right now. It's Sylvester Stallone. I recognize that's got to be
That's
Stallone.
Marion Cobretti from Cobra. I'll have you
Oh,
know.
I stand corrected. I'm like Sylvester
He's a
Stallone.
one-man army, and he sucks on matches. So that's anyway.
Those lips are inspired, Kayla.
Right, right. That it couldn't be anybody else but Sly. No, this is all new stuff. Fan art is something that I use to sort
Wow.
of polish myself, to polish my skills. Um, Doing stuff that other people request, or doing something that's important to yourself, something that you celebrate, is it's just another way for people, especially nowadays, to just to keep their skills on par, and to engage with an audience. Because other people, especially with social media nowadays, it's never been easier to try and engage, to try and show people, look at the thing that I like, and other people will come in, oh, I like that thing too, and the way that you like that thing is a way that I would have never have thought to have liked that. But it's, so I love fan art for that specific reason. It allows you to use your particular oeuvre, your skills, to celebrate something, and a lot of artists tend to get jobs that way. It's or at the very least to build an audience. It's never a guarantee, like I said, but it's always fun to experiment, and fun to throw things out there that that you wish existed in the world, so you just have to make it yourself. So that the kind of is a little segue into how I met Ivan, but let me backtrack just a tiny bit. So I came into the real world, and if I had loved, there's that line from King Kong with that Peter Jackson directed, where Aiden is talking to Jack Black, and the boat is leaving, and he's like, "Oh, but I love theater," and Jack Black says, "No, if you really love theater, you would have jumped from the boat." And that was me. I didn't jump. I stayed on the boat, and I followed my bliss and continued to work for role-playing games and publishing. Eventually, I bopped all over the place. I did interior design. I taught. I started experimenting with more digital things. And eventually, what happened was I got into teaching, and that's when I really started to learn. And I feel like there's a really wise adage that says, if you want to learn, teach. And I feel like that's exactly what happened to me. I found out exactly how important diversification and identity and self-reflection and representation are in art through teaching. And I feel like that's, and being able to sort of see the world through the eyes of my students makes me even more passionate about trying to get them to tell the stories that they want to see in the world, and to do it through their art, either through comics or animation or anything they want to do, illustration, fine art. The point is that, and this is something that this is sort of how I met Ivan. I wanted to create something that I wanted to see in the world. It was 2015. It was Inktober, which is a fun little, art.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a fun little art project that happens during October, and
yeah, it's where artists try to do a sketch a day for
at least a sketch a day.
At least a sketch a day for all of
or
October.
31
Thus,
days.
Inktober,
Right.
for anybody who didn't know for sure, certain.
No.
Okay, so yes, please continue. How did Ivan stalk you and get you to join the team at Hunters Entertainment?
Well, that's kind of how it started. I was a dad, and it was 2015. I felt like there was a dearth of things that I would have wanted when I was a kid to help me sort of bridge the gap into getting into, from Saturday morning cartoons and, or let's use something more contemporary, to go from like Winx Club and Disney Princess into role-playing game.
Right.
I've got 2 daughters. I was trying to think of a way to get them interested in stuff like that. So what I did was I created, 31 drawings of, 26 drawings at ABCs of Dungeons and Dragons monsters, interactive kids, totally not scary. It would be like a scary monster, but holding the hand of a little boy as they're waiting to cross the street, and the little boy's his ice cream is melting. Right?
Okay. In fact, let's go, because we have some sketches of yours, like full drawings from the ABCs of 1, 2, 3s. So let's go ahead and show one of those.
Yeah, show the black and white ones first if you can, JB. Thank you very much.
M is for Mind Flayer. Oh my gosh.
So the idea was to show a bunch of different kids playing with D&D monsters, as if they were like pets or friends or something like that. I think there's like one scary one, but then the tables are turned in the following one, and then the little girl chases the monster. It's there's I think it's O and P. I think those are the ones. but I wanted to create something that I wanted to see in the world. And, I really would have loved if, D&D existed in something that was more all ages friendly. And I put it up on Reddit. It blew up a little bit. People were like, "Oh my gosh, Wizards is going to sue the pants off you." And other people are like, no, absolutely they wouldn't. This is something that they would want. So there was a big diatribe about that. And eventually Ivan contacted me and said, can I get your help in making an actual book and making this a real thing? Not just a collection of your drawings, but to turn it into rhymed couplets and full color illustrations. Eventually it started from having me do like a cover, and eventually he asked me to do the whole book.
Oh, wonderful. I
Yeah.
love it when people meet up and like just that exchange of talent, and it's like, "Oh, you can do this thing really well. I can do this thing. How about we do this thing together?"
Yeah, well, he
So,
actually already had the same idea apparently at the same time. And so we just decided to sort of join forces like this incredibly nerdy Voltron and just decide to put this out there. And there was a Kickstarter. It did very well. And 2 years later, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast approached Ivan through Hunters and said, "We want to buy this. Let's make this official. Let's put all our stuff into this because we want to, it's because of mainly because of Twitch and because of shows like Critical Role and others where everybody, regardless of gender, identity, age, they were all in love with the idea of role playing games. Especially ones that were inclusive as D&D, where you can literally be almost anything you can think of. And that's where it sort of started. Just one book turned into two. It was a crazy fun roller coaster. But that's basically where I ended up where I am today as an art director at Hunters. And now I get to bring in other artists to help tell the games that we want to make, but using their narratives, using their visual storytelling skills. And I feel like I've got the best job in the world.
awesome. I love this. Okay, so yeah, these pictures are incredible. I love this one up right now where you have the kids and they are just hanging around. They're strolling. We've got someone with their guitar case, another person with like, it looks like one of those things that you hold where you hold posters or paintings in. So obviously, like a
Oh
fellow
yeah, like a
artist.
little roll thingy. Yeah.
Yes. And then above them, you have this person's a barbarian. This person's a ranger. This person's a rogue. They have like they have a dagger at the ready to go.
That's it.
Yeah, like above them, it's like as like clouds. It's like it's
Yeah.
looking into the clouds, and everybody, when you cloud gaze, you see the things that you want to see, and you're able to see the things that these kids are. And I really enjoy that. Okay, we're
Thank
gonna
you.
do a couple of questions from our chat room real quick, and then we're going to jump into some more horror type drawings that you have to show us.
Just real
So
quick. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
just
I
real
can't
quick,
wait to
since
tell you about it.
we're also coming off of Outbreak Undead, going into an Altered Carbon run, so we would want to kind of prime the pump at least for our Ragnarok stuff that we're doing later. So from Not Always Weak, we have a question, Caleb. If you get artist block, and we know everybody gets some sort of block sometime, what's your preferred way of dealing with it? Do you take a break or bust on through?
Oh goodness. Everybody's different. And artist block or melancholy, whatever you want to call it, it's draining. A lot of artists will say, no, you got to burn through it. You got to pay the bills. You rely on your foundations. You try and figure out. You try and draw everything about the drawing other than the part that's frustrating you, right?
Huh.
And that works. Some of the time. Other times, self-care is what you really need.
Oh, so
And
important.
sometimes, yeah, it's
So
so
important.
important. You need to take a break. You need to prime the pump. You need to fuel yourself. Spend a day doing everything but drawing. Read a book. Go for a walk. You know, uh, If you've got a pool and it's safe, take a splash. Play a video game. Do something that inspires you, or just or anything at all that sort of replenishes the well, and then come back refreshed. But do come back. Don't be daunted by the blank page. Nothing is scarier than the void. Than the potential of all the mistakes that page can accumulate. But the accumulation of mistakes is how we do great work. It's by learning from our f ups and getting through it and applying what we learn. But it sort of depends on where you are. So if you feel drained, take a break, slow your roll. If you're just frustrated, then try and realize why you're frustrated. Most of the time when I'm dealing with students, their frustration is coming from impatience with themselves. Okay? They want to jump to the end of the drawing. They want to get to the end. They want to cross the finish line before they even start. That's never the way it works. I don't care if you're Kim Jong-gi. I don't care if you're one of these master artists that can, mentally create perfect perspective in their heads. That doesn't happen that way without a ton of mess ups. You got to give yourself a chance to fail. And you can't fail without being patient with yourself and learning from it. So, try and figure out, use enough self-knowledge to sort of learn what you need. Stop. Try, do your foundations first. Don't jump into detail. Be patient and, reflect, see what you need first. You might just need a little break, or you just need to take a step back and draw the parts that aren't frustrating you. Or maybe it's just it could be something as simple as, a compositional error, or something or ask a friend, jump onto Zoom and, or onto a Discord with some friendly critique and say, what am I messing up on this with? And they'll be like, oh, dang, let me help you.
So
Right.
basically, it's like go ahead and get out of your own way with things and team break, not team bust on through.
It doesn't have
So
to. Some
yeah,
people really like that. Not
yeah.
everybody.
Like you said, everybody's different, but yeah, I for one am team break, with things where it's just like come back to it later. It
Yeah.
will be there. Okay, so another question we have from our chat from Resback 390. So okay, I'm gonna paraphrase this a little bit. How do you engage with people that don't believe art has true value or is something that you can be successful at, like that it's something that is of value in the job world? So it's like,
Mhm.
how do you engage with people in that way? Like, I think I understand where this person is coming from, where it's like you might come from a family that is more scientific oriented, perhaps, like maybe a family of doctors or lawyers or something like that. And they're like, oh, you're going to be an artist, are you? How
Yeah.
wonderful. Can you do that part time, perhaps, and do something real? So I'm guessing that that's what the person is feeling. So how have you or how do you engage with people that are like that?
Um, I get that a lot. A lot of artists get that a lot. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. You're an artist. What are you going to do for a real job? What are you going to do to pay the rent? Um, art has incredible value. Are you kidding me? Look at the first thing that people did when the world shut down back in March. Okay, they jumped onto Netflix. They jumped onto streams. Look at what people relied on in order to keep themselves sane during all this madness. They relied on art. They relied on creativity. They relied on people making content, even if it was just showing them how to bake bread, or Alexa, how do I? Oh, I'm gonna turn on 1,000 cameras here. Um,
Everyone's Alexa at home just
yeah,
activated. Alexa, how do
everybody's
I
like,
bake
what?
bread?
Exactly. How do I create strawberry pancakes? They rely on art to give them purpose and to give them drive and to give them focus when all bets are off, when the chips are down. And it's like whenever I hear something like that, I'm just like, what do you think society is really about? You
Mm.
know, art makes you happy, right? It should make you happy to make art as well. You know, don't you want your friends, your family, your children, your relatives to be happy? Then encourage them, show them what it, patronize them, pay them to do whatever it is they love to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and
it is,
and if it doesn't make you happy, it gives you it's cathartic. Then
yeah,
that's why we have drama. That's why we want to look through other people's eyes, and that's what we do when we have art, when we have shows, when we have RPGs. When we are these characters, when we're embodying these characters, when we're DMs gifting these worlds to people for them to then play in. We're doing all of this. It's like society itself is so many different moving parts to it. You can't just have one thing. It's like trying to bake a cake and you have nothing but eggs. Great. You can make an omelet. You can't
right.
make a cake. You need more than that. And that's the thing I think of it with it. And then like Phoenix Goth in the chat said that their parents tried to tell them that they should abandon RPGs and writing because it couldn't earn any money. I'm like, are you kidding me? I definitely feel for that because my parents, before I don't want to use the word trained them, but got them used to the fact that I would not um, be the doctor or the tennis star that they wanted me to be, that it just wasn't happening, that my route was theater and things performance oriented and talking with people and delving into everything nerdy, basically. And then they were like, yeah, you know what, you do shine when you do that. I'm glad you're doing that now. And I'm like, thank God, because I could barely return a tennis ball and you wanted me to be like a Williams sister.
Right, right.
Somehow it's like somehow that was supposed to happen. It's like, no, that's just not how that goes. um but
No, you're absolutely right.
yeah, it's ooh, it's one of those things.
No, it
But
cuts to it can get close. I can see it in you. You're passionate. You know, you've also had people naysay you and, uh, try to match your dreams with their pragmatism. It's but the thing is that there's a lot of different ways to make art and make a living. Maybe you won't be, a crazy millionaire rock star, but you will have created something in the world that didn't exist before. Um, what if you have somebody who says that, you're like, there's already I hear this all the time, again, from students. They're like, I don't want to share this comic idea because my mom says somebody's going to rip it off, or I don't. My mom says I need to have a backup. They're happy for me to go to art school, to make me happy. I'm just like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not what this is for. This isn't a hobby. All right. Do you love it? That's great. Do you love it enough to become dedicated? Because this can be life changing.
yeah.
Not everybody wants to work in a studio. Not everybody wants to work in a Pixar. Not, it's sometimes what you want to do is work for yourself, creating art that you like and creating an audience that likes the art that you make. And look at Twitch, look at, Twitter, look at Etsy. There are lots of different ways to pay the bills using stuff that you love. So there's a quote here. Again, I'm going to go back. He was a president of the United States. John Adams said that, problematic guy regardless, but he said that he was a patriot so that his son could become a merchant, so that his grandchildren could become artists, because he understood how society was kind of built, how there was a hierarchy, and at the most important people to him, because he got to see all sorts of different strata of society, were the ones that made things, or that created art and that fed people's souls. So remember that, okay? What true value does art have? It has the value of making a difference. Okay, just maybe you need to make the art that you need to see. Don't make other people's art. Don't make other people happy. Make you happy. That's
Yes.
me.
It's like be the change you want to see. Be the change that you want to
That's
see in the
it.
world. Be the art that you want to see out there,
That's it.
however which way it is. So yeah, let's go ahead and quickly show some of your work from Chaosium, which is more monsterific, which goes
Be the
with Outbreak.
chaotic monster from the unspeakable cosmos that you want to see in the world.
Yes. Yes, which totally describes my Ragnarok character that will be that y'all are gonna help us like create and draw for later on. So full disclosure, we and I've said this before. We've been doing some play tests of Ragnarok, and in fact, we will for a Hunter's Gathering coming up. We will be doing a play test of Ragnarok with special guests. So look forward to more about that coming soon. That should be coming early September. And
Excellent.
with that, our characters that we make are just they run the gambit of what you can be and what you can make this what your weapon can be. Your weapon can be like your guitar, or it can be, in my case, it's a type of rock flute, and not just any kind of rock flute. If you remember the Little Mermaid, where they're like, you can't play the flute, you can't play the harp, and they have that long thing that they're playing. It's that, but metal,
Oh,
for instance, is my character's my character's weapon. Like you can literally have uh anything. I'm looking forward to that player out there when they get a hold of Ragnarok and there's some sort of spiked out triangle
oh God,
or
it's gonna be
something.
so
That's
good.
totally possible. But
Ding!
yeah.
Apocalypse.
And very I'm so thank you so much in chat for like sharing your stories of how other how you've been able to overcome things, and now that you're happier in the career that you're in right now, when you flung yourself into the things that you love and you're much happier. I believe that is, oh, Phoenix Goth, oh, love. Yeah, and oh wow, that is that a butt? No, that's the belly. That's the
That's a belly.
belly, isn't it?
These are sorry. Yeah, these. I'm pointing the right way, I think. Yeah. These are drawings that I did for Chaosium Incorporated, which is the main role-playing game publisher for Call of Cthulhu and Glorantha and other
Ooh.
really, really cool, like classic role-playing games from like the 70s and 80s. Call of Cthulhu is like the main one when it comes to like cosmic horror and things like that. We were talking before about like, the scary things that can't be described. Sometimes you need to get into vagaries. Well, this is typically, when it comes to illustration, one of those things you want to do is you want to keep it vague. Unfortunately, everybody wants to know exactly what a Gug looks like, or Yig, the snake god, or Sathagua, or Golinak, or I shouldn't even be saying these because I'll summon them. But the idea is that, yeah, these are, not all of them are from 1920s racist authors. Some of them are from contemporary authors that built their mythos off of other other artists as well. And it's yeah, but it's all I love the idea that you can try and design something that is really, really challenging. If you go to the text these came from, and they weren't always written particularly well, but they would always be described as, it was so terrible that none spake of it for 10 years, or Jenkins slammed the door and went mad. And I'm just like, okay, great. What's the budget for that? But nevertheless, I try and stay within the what people's expectations are of what a giant squid Godzilla looks like with a hat with tentacles on it. Everybody knows what Cthulhu looks like.
Yes, Cthulhu.
Now there's also Glorantha, which is another role-playing game for those of you that are interested. If you get tired of playing elves and dwarves and trolls and things like very European style fantasy, try something like this, which takes place in like the Bronze Age of like a world that's very similar to like Asia Minor, like Scythia, or Bronze Age Anatolia or Turkey or something like that, where Troy would have been. And it's a really, really cool idea where everybody's different. You can play almost anything you want to be. They have a really cool magic system. And again, it's just anything other than European elves and dwarves and, Ents and things like that. It's really, really cool. Tattoos everywhere, giant swords, very unique way of playing. And it's been around for like 45 years or something like that. So check it out if you're interested.
Heck yeah, who wouldn't be? Always interested.
No, it's been winning awards constantly, but it always kind of slides under the radar in favor of the great big, slobbery monsters from Call of Cthulhu. Speaking of which, there he is again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so that's all.
I like to call this one the salesman knocks never.
Exactly. Do you have a word to talk about? No, we're not home. Where's your mask?
Like, have you heard of your Lord and Savior me?
Yeah, exactly. Hello. Yes. Do you have a few words to spare? A few moments to spare to talk about Armageddon? No, I love that sort of stuff. This is all graphite, by the way. A lot of that's another thing that I tend to do. I tend to sort of like spread around the media that I work with a lot as well. Yeah, so it's always about, but again, it's always about where the focus is, where's the where's the star of the show, where's the most contrast, where does your eye go to first? I've got a big horse bat, so obviously I'm going to make sure that his little noggin, I can see it, and there's the person that's riding the horse bat, so we've got some sort of approximation of scale.
Right.
Horsebat's not what it's really called, but
No. It's like once you said that, I was like, yeah, that's a horse bat.
Fair enough. I see it.
Yeah, it's like I totally do. I was thinking like pterodactyl snake.
There you go. I love it.
But yeah, I totally see horse bat.
Yeah, so that's there's always really good. It's always a really wonderful place to mine for new stuff, and that's what I don't know. I really enjoy it personally, and it's always sort of it's always neat to try and put a new spin on something indescribable, so that people don't get disappointed and say, "Oh, I've seen that horrible monster before." You want to do horrible in a new way. Don't be the horrible that you've already seen. Be the horrible that you want in the world.
Yeah. I like where our chat is going with things now. Alex _red eye, horsebat needs to be a superhero. I kind of love that. It's like was it it's like horsebat and the mammalian bunch or something.
That's it. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, and they just go on adventures. There's
people that
a
don't. DC superhero who can actually do that. He can take two animals and smoosh them together. That's his superpower. Like even Batman is kind of freaked out by this guy. So it's like, no, I'm not even joking.
No. I could see that where it just kind of be like okay. Like that's the thing. I love that. Yeah, no, Batman villains are I love them. They're so weird.
I'm sorry. I know we're taking this.
I know this is just a short little tangent. Just a little tangent.
You've seen this.
Polka Dot Man.
Suicide Squad. Thank you.
Polka Dot Man and Suicide Squad. What the crap? Like of all the, I was thinking like. I was trying to picture how they would get like, I don't know, Bronze Tiger in there or something. I was like, that's a safe bet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people know him.
Do that, but it's like, no, freaking Polka Dot Man.
Polka Dot Man.
I
love it. Oh, Buona Beast, I just heard, is the name of the guy who combines animals. I knew that. Why did I drop the name? Anyway, yeah, he's a wrestler with like animal blending powers. It's just, he's the worst.
And I know on Twitter earlier when we found out that John Cena is Peacemaker, and you were considering him for Orion, and I was like, I didn't see that until you said it, and I was like, oh yeah, I could see son of dark
It was the
side,
helmet
you know,
and the red thing.
prophesies to take down his father.
Absolutely. I mean,
You
he just looked Orionish to me.
know.
And as Peacemaker, it's the humor is there. Orion's not very funny. You know, it's just, but
Yeah.
Peacemaker is
It,
ridiculous. I love it.
yes. Yes. Like they said in the trailer, what did they say in the behind the scenes? He called him a douchey Captain America.
Yep. He's
Like,
going to make peace on Earth and America, no matter how many people he has to kill to make it happen.
yeah, I'm just okay. And last bit with it. I'm just very interested in how they end up killing uh, uh, people in this Suicide Squad, because they've got a nice big crop of people that obviously all of them are not going to make it through. Did you
Nope.
see the name? It's in the name. You know, Task Force X. You know, X for a reason.
Yeah, well, I think Idris Elba even said in like the little trailer, he's just like, don't get too attached to like literally anybody
Yeah,
because you don't know what's going to happen. You
like
know, I'm just like
anyone.
buckled up.
Okay. So yeah, but to that was our
Sorry,
little
sorry.
tangent. That's okay, because you know Suicide Squad is very much kind of like a rebellious thing. And to segue that into rebellion of a different type, Ragnarok in particular. So with Ragnarok, Gods of Metal Ragnarok, which Hunters Entertainment is in the development process for, and I already dropped some tidbits for you that we're going to have an upcoming play test that we're going to be doing. And go ahead and subscribe and join our Discord community, and you'll be able to be like privy to anything that happens, like when we are able to release it. Those are the places that know it first, type of thing. And also go ahead and follow us on Twitter. If you might have found us by Twitter, so it's like great. Okay, so what we are doing with Gods of Metal Ragnarok today is we are, I believe we have some of the sketches that you have already done for us.
These are very horrible little drawings in order to
Stop.
describe
Stop right
basically.
there. Don't you? I love these drawings.
Thank you. These are basically the equivalent of like little art notes to describe the different. You know, we don't have classes in Ragnarok, but we do have our like performer positions. Like in this case, this is known as a blood guard.
Yes. And
Um,
JB, can you keep this on the screen while we're describing it, and then we'll let you know when we're going to the next character class.
Thank you, JB.
And awesome,
Excellent.
because we have 3 character classes that we're gonna go
I'm not going
over.
to go through all of them, but I'm going to give you guys we'll give you guys a little tidbit
Yeah,
of.
I have actual descriptions that were okayed by Ivan for me to be able to also read for each of these characters, the character classes that we're going to go over. And of course, the person I'm talking to is JB, our attack wizard. Y'all know him. You'll see him around everywhere.
We
So
can't
yes,
we can't
please.
avoid him.
So with okay, let me go ahead and read what we have for Blutguards.
Good.
And yes, as I knock everything over.
Excellent.
The clouds part as a gleaming beam of light shines down upon a metal clad man with bull horns and long, shaggy hair. Long, shaggy fur. Oh my God, Caleb, your face. He raises his hammer into the light before it's lobbed straight into a poser. Somewhere, a choir is singing. A long robed woman with glittering bone earrings, corpse paint makeup, and a bald head reaches their hands out to an injured bandmate, grasping a raven's head. She speaks of their foolishness and vows to take their pain. Slowly, the wound heals as a fresh scar appears on the woman where the injury was. Blood guards are guardians, defenders of metal and those who are true to it. More deeply in tune with their tone than others, they uphold the doctrines of their gods reverently. They can still dish out one hell of a beating, though. This is a healing character for
Yeah.
this. Okay, so yes. Caleb, go ahead and describe what you're going to describe for blood guards.
Oh, yeah. So blood guards are the healers, more or less. They also are. They can play. It's basically what they are the sort of totemic um, servitors of the gods of rock. They tend to sort of like make themselves up into like living avatars of their gods or what they think what their gods might look like to them. Um, and so and we're given like yeah, but basically what they are is they can sort of like they could be a tank, they could be a healer, but mainly what they are sort of like the choir of the deities of rock.
Yeah.
And they can literally be almost anything you want them to be. It's like that for most of these positions. They don't have to look like they're from Ghost, but I'm just saying you wouldn't be doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Um, it's yeah. So basically, what I have here are some design notes, things that we can try and do to keep the silhouettes instantly recognizable. Things like just really minor little character design things that I can share with other artists, and so that we can all sort of come to an agreement about the visual representation of a blood guard.
Yes. I love it. And also for just to give some more of a preview of Ragnarok in general, you'll be playing. Well, it's one character, but it's played in two different ways. So you have, for instance, where you're playing this Blutgard. When you are in actual Ragnarok, right? It's the land. I don't know what the land is called. How do I not? I know what the other land is called.
The realm of Ragnarok.
The realm of Ragnarok, yes. Rock with a R-O-C-K, y'all.
Almost.
But then the other version of your character, like the other part of yourself, lives in Mundania.
Yeah.
And like for instance, just so that you know, with my playtest character that I've been doing, my Mundanian, well, my Ragnarok name is Carthusis Art Flocht with that's a F-A-C-K-T, by the way. I don't know how that hits on American ears, but yeah,
It's
it has
fine.
thing theirs. While my Mundanian name is Mitty Pressman, who is a science center docent. So the person that gives you tours in science centers, that's Mitty.
The
And then
bathroom's
there's
over there.
also Carthusis. So yeah. So with blood guards in general, is there anything else that you want to tell us about blood guards? I'm just telling. I really love, like, for me these are like the clerics
It's
that you would have, where it's like they're gonna give you a beating. I mean, look at that sword, look at that hammer. My screen's a little bit small, but like look at that hammer.
that absolutely is an amp hammer from your character, JB.
Hmm. So, dude, yeah, yeah, and I would think that any people playing Ragnarok, hopefully you have a Blutgard in your particular party. Do
If
we
you need your
have?
blood guarded, get a blood guard. That's
Oh, I get it. Blutgard. That took me longer than it should have to get
it's
that,
okay.
but I ended up being there with the rest of you in the end. What is, oh, and also chat, if you have questions about Ragnarok, questions about for Caleb with like art design and just things with this, we'll answer what we can. Obviously, there's some things that we can't yet because, like I said, this is like in progress. Everything will be revealed in time, type of a thing. But for right now, we will discuss what we can.
Yes,
So, do you have another character for us for if there's nothing else with blood guards
we
at this
do.
particular point?
Well, blood guards are clerics. They can hand down a beating, but they're also there to sort of provide sort of totemic guidance, perhaps oracular services, and the occasional shield to protect people. The ones that they are protecting more often than not are the ones that are built for forward movement. Those guys are the brutalizers.
Ooh.
Brutalizers are they're kind of like they're a combo of like fighter slash barbarian. One thing you need to know about Ragnarok is that you need to take every single class you can think of and then blend it with Bard. Okay, every character you have is going to be a performer on some level. Any kind of performer you can possibly think of. They don't need an instrument. Maybe their voice is their instrument. Maybe they rock through open mic poetry night. Maybe that's how they channel the powers of the deities. But
As one is
brutalizers,
wont to do.
what's that?
As one is wont to do.
Absolutely. You never know. I'm not in charge of how you rock. But brutalizers are all about glory and fighting and taking the hits and loving it. It's about glory on the battlefield and on the stage. They live by a code of violence that would make Conan happy, and a code of performance that would make any improv actor more or less satisfied. So yeah, it's basically they're the damage dealers, and they live for glory.
And on that
And
note,
yes,
yes, I do have a description of brutalizers. Black hair cracks like a whip as the body of a barely armored champion arches like a crescent moon above the screaming manticore. A pair of leather gauntlets with studs shaped like fists clasps a hold of battle axe shaped guitar as it swings down, cleaving the tail of the scorpion lion beast, blood gushing as it roars into the night. Meanwhile, a tall blonde woman, leather jerkin and a long flowing cape behind her, sends wave after wave of daggers, pelting a defiant Etten into the shape of an upside down cross. Finally, a screaming jean Finally, a screaming jean clad, makeup strewn, spike adorned woman power slides beneath a hulking face melter, arm blades outstretched. They pound each blade up to the wrist into their enemy. Brutalizers are the meat grinding, weapon stacked, face slapping avatars of metal that relish in the glory of combat. Their styles are versatile and their methods vast. They have no qualms with getting in deep and getting in hard. At least that's what your mom said.
nice. That pretty much says it all right there. That's it. Yeah, brutalizers are there they live in the mosh pit. That's basically them.
Yeah. Wow.
They are the masters of martial arts.
Yes, I see that.
Markeia. Martial arts.
Did you
Markeia.
say martial arts?
Martial arts.
Martial arts. You know what? There is an art to being in the mosh pit. Tell dad jokes periodically. Oh my God, Caleb. Yes, that shirt. Yes, that shirt.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
no.
Chad.
No, there's no sorry. You're Alex Hillman is a was it a community guy? You're community dad. Like, yes. Love it. So we had a quick question in chat. Bruce, I'm sorry if I'm gonna mispronounce this right. Bruce Bernice.
Bruce.
Will we hear about the environments? Or maybe I missed that part. I had to go eat supper. Ooh. Um,
We
I asked about describing characters, and I was encouraged to read from what we have so far, but I don't believe environments was something that we were really covering tonight. So I'm hesitant to do that unless and unless somebody in like Alex or JB, if you want to hit up Ivan and see how we feel about talking about anything with environments. Otherwise, we are going to stick with characters, my people. So,
sorry, Bruce, but I will. Yeah. Thank you, Markeia. I think we'll get Ivan or JB on the case, but we may just. If we were going to go into environments tonight, it would be a much longer show.
Yeah, so we'll stick with characters. Like I said, all of this is coming, and believe me,
Yeah,
like just scrolling through everything and then having to do the play test myself, there's a lot of really like you are going to live your heavy metal fantasy, which totally need that. Have to rebel. I like the dichotomy of it where it's being able to be midi pressman in mundania in my everyday life and then being able to be Carthusis. It's like, talk
nice.
about catharsis, right?
Yes.
So is there anything else that we want to cover with brutalizers? Because keep in mind, we want to leave time to be able to get a proper draw
Sure.
in later also.
That basically sums up brutalizers. They are
Okay.
the fighter barbarian bards of the world of Ragnarok. But Bruce, don't you worry. We will be getting onto environments eventually. Maybe not on this particular hunters gathering, but we will, because as somebody mentioned in chat, we this is a game of two different worlds,
Hmm.
and one sucks horribly, and the other one sucks in the best way possible. So it's but don't worry, we will be getting to that, but possibly in a future show.
Yeah, I will say, with doing the play test, my character personally didn't spend a lot of time in Mundania, but I was playing with a number of other people. One of them was Alex, for instance, and his character ended up having to spend time in Mundania and having to do like quick quests there to and it was very entertaining for me
Yeah,
as a player to watch what he had to go through to be able to traverse Mundania. So I'm enjoying both sides of this game. So let's go ahead and with our final character, and then we will take a quick 10-minute break, and then we'll do our live draw of Ragnarok character. So what's the final character class that we have going?
final one is the Shredder, not to be confused with a blade festooned person who hates turtles. The Shredders are all about lots of damage, really fast, but about distance between themselves and their targets. It's They're kind of like the Ranger Rogues slash Bards. Um, so ranged attacks, speed, being lithe and quick on your feet. Um, so as a result, the drawing here is super duper gestural, really sketching and fast. But the idea is that they are built to be light, diaphanous, or super tight, depending on which shredder we're talking about here. If it's Inve Malmsteen, he's a shredder from the 1980s.
Mm.
It's uncomfortably tight, like absurdly so.
Well,
But you know what? Maybe that just makes you shred that much harder.
mm,
Yeah, so they're slim. They tend to be lithe. Um, yeah, if they do have muscles, it's all up here in their forearms, tons of veins and knotted sinews and things like that. Giant hands and nails of varying lengths. All about it's like one of their signatures.
nice.
So body mass at a minimum,
Mhm.
hair maximum. That's basically
Of
that's a shredder.
Of course. I love that our chat room's like getting involved in this. And then also Alex let us know in the chat that his in Mundania, he had to work as a manager in his crappy day job at Dinky Dairy. So that was part
Yep.
of his quest in Mundania to be able to get back into Ragnarok. So, and then also we have a poll going on in chat right now. Which Ragnarok class are you most psyched to play? So out of and keeping in mind there are way more. We
Oh yeah.
are only doing 3.
These aren't
So
even half of them.
yeah, yeah. There's rock gods. There's all these other classes. Yes,
Amp
there's
lords,
environment. There's like the
howlers.
silk, all this.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. But for description for shredders, shrouded by a long leather trench coat, a man walks towards a group of goblins. A guitar appears from under his arm. One strum later, and all of the goblins fall in tiny pieces around him. He turns, and his dark cloak becomes wings as he takes off into the sky. A bulky, muscled woman, adorned with a bear skin with 6 eyes, lays over her shoulder. She raises 2 large wooden drumsticks that could easily serve as wooden columns into the air. She begins banging on the air in front of her. Loud drumming fills the night as small glints of light show where each of the clubs impact. This rhythm continues as she comes into contact with the centaur. Each concussive hit causes more bone damage than the last as the drumming continues.
Love it.
Music and life are tied closely together in the world of Ragnarok, but none more so than for the Shredders. Their instruments are their instrument to creating magic and mystery around them. If you want to do some crazy fucking shit with your instrument, play a shredder. I'm just reading what it says there.
Language, Markeia.
That is literally what it says. I
Gee
never curse.
whiz.
It was I am a Ron Burgundy when it comes to reading.
Gosh, darn it. I'm Ron Burgundy. Sorry.
So play a shredder. Yeah. And I love this next note for instrumental magicians. When shredders pick an instrument, they don't just pick, they mate for life.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
it.
I know that and I'm sure JB will like bleep me out for YouTube or whatever. But this is our Twitch people. They get it live. Um so yeah, it just seems like highly versatile, take on many different roles when going into combat.
Yep.
Ooh, that
There's no wrong way to play any of these, really. These are just sort of like if you can see the oh, actually I think we've got a painted version of a shredder coming up here that I did
ooh, yes,
earlier.
let's
Sort of.
see.
So yeah, this is Shredward. This is as you can tell, he's a magnificent specimen of an elf human, an elf shredder with a winged guitar with probably no less than 11 strings on it. Um, he's got bling up the yin yang. It's like a lightning bolt. He's got a unicorn. This guy rocks. And
Yeah.
his look at his
Oh, it's
hair.
purple and like that's a lot of hair. That's
Yeah.
a lot of hair.
Yes,
Oh,
he's. People are asking about a codpiece. No, he's not wearing a codpiece. Okay, he's all
those
man.
are some tight pants.
Those are just
Are
tight
those
pants.
pants or is that just his is that body paint? That looks like body paint.
That's not body paint.
That
He
might be
is
body paint.
100% all American. Well, maybe he's 100% all Ragnarockian elf dude. That's what he is. Well, he's
Chat is
99% all
having
He's 1% shredder. I mean, look at him. I mean, he's magnificent.
hey, I just love that the chat is having a ball with this right now.
Yeah, people are like, oh, that is some labyrinth Jareth level bulge. And I'm just like, he doesn't get into combat unless he's wearing the good pants. I mean, it's like if you got to dress the part. I mean, that's
I like that with like the Prince shirt. Like
yes.
I just
Thank you.
I want to give this man some pancakes and a
The-
basketball.
He would absolutely. Oh my God, he would eat the pancakes and play the basketball without taking off the guitar. Okay, without none of that. He wouldn't change a single thing. He may like dust a little bit of Aquanet, but that's about it.
Oh, right. Sometimes you just want to
Sometimes
have it just a little bit tame, just a little
sometimes
bit.
you just need a
Yeah.
little big hair equals power, man. I mean, I feel like that's if there's one thing that I want to make sure that we have in here is that if you're a shredder, the bigger your hair, the more damage you do. I feel like it needs to be in there somewhere.
I
Like
like
this
that. It's kind
guy.
of like the Rapunzel or Samson
No,
offense. All right.
this
The
can be
magic's
this.
in the hair.
Well, I mean, if you want to play a bald shredder, that's entirely up to you. I'm just throwing it out there. As a bald guy myself, I live vicariously through Shredward. So
Nice. We have Ivan in the chat too. Hey, Ivan,
Ivan!
welcome. Yeah, we were just spilling all the secrets of Ragnarok, so I guess you're just gonna have to come up with new ones.
There are
Uh,
0 left.
so yeah, sorry, not sorry. Oh no. But yeah, that's holy crap. So we've gone over blood guards, shredders, and also, oh my gosh, how did I already brutalizers? And then also anybody that's wondering how the poll in the chat went, apparently shredders just won. And it's almost like, Caleb, you kind of knew that that was going to happen because that was the final the final painting that we had, like the final illustration that we had. So well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ivan's asking, are we actually going to do any drawing tonight?
Yes, yes. We're actually about to take a quick 10-minute break while we get things set up on our tech end. And Caleb will actually be doing a live illustration, live drawing of a Ragnarok character.
Not
So
just any.
yeah, not just any. We're gonna do Carthusis Yartfjakt, which is my playtest character, but I would really like to, get the rebellion, kick it out with, this particular rock persona, and I'm gonna need the chat's help with that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I can describe what I have, but I want y'all to let's go to town with this. We have Caleb, freaking art director Cleveland, with us. Let's check this out. Let's take him through his paces and let's just rock and rebel together, because we're in Pandemica and I would rather live in Mundania and then Ragnarok. So yeah, we're gonna take our quick 10-minute break and then we're gonna come back with Caleb and we're gonna go ahead and do this Ragnarok live drawing with the audience. So we will see you after then.
Thank you.